It's Thursday night, it's 8:45pm on the 17th of November, and this is the Cats Whiskers Podcast live. Hello and welcome to this week's first live edition of the Cats Whiskers Podcast. My name is Jono Bullard and I'm delighted to say with me to discuss all the goings on and the Continental Cup and everything else is Paul Balm.
Hello.
And Tina Taylor.
Hiya.
Right, we are going to get straight down to it. If you want to get in touch with us at any time during tonight, do so via Twitter at CatsWhiskersTV. Use the hashtag TCW Live. Later on, we're going to be talking about the movement where there's talk of a protest against the club and its management, which has appeared on the Clage Forum. We'll give you our thoughts on that. We'll look at the Challenge Cup semi-final and quarter-final draws. News about the Telford Tigers, who are in trouble after revealing debts of £500,000. And also look at the other news in the Elite League, including Coventry Blaze releasing 2 forwards and signing another 2 forwards. But first, the important news of the week is that Panthers will be taking part in the Continental Cup in Odense, Denmark from tomorrow. Tomorrow they take on the host, the Odense Bulldogs, with a 7pm face-off UK time. Saturday it's against the Angers Duck of France at 2pm, and Sunday they finish with against HC Donbass of the Ukraine with an 11am face-off. Earlier today, it was revealed that Petr Kalus, who was released by the Panthers a couple of weeks ago, will actually be taking part in the Continental Cup. He is still registered under IIHF rules and therefore will be part of the squad. So I think we'll start with that. Paul, what did you make of that when you found that out?
It's like a magic roundabout, isn't it? I was surprised at the reaction. I mean, I was surprised it happened, but something deep down inside didn't to me as well. But I was a bit surprised at the reaction.
In what way?
Comments that were coming out on the social media, some of the comments that were coming out, I thought were very harsh, if I'm honest. But I mean, it's no more than Sheffield did a couple of seasons back. I believe they released Mark Thomas in the summer and then brought him back for the challenge for the CHL games. And I mean, what you've got to say about Petr Kalus is he doesn't fall over on the blue line.
True. That's very, very true. Tina, your thoughts on it?
Like Paul says, surprised but not surprised. I think I saw it and just kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I mean, I'm pleased. Don't get me wrong, because we're still bodies down. So, and there's no import. So if he's available, then fine, let him play, because he knows the team, he knows the systems, and who knows? I don't know. He could help us get into the finals. The way we've been playing just lately would speak otherwise. But he's a body. He knows the Panthers, and he's not signed anywhere else yet. So we absolutely might as well take him with us. I bottled it, but I had the Benny Hill theme tune ready to play. It's just, I think
the magic roundabout music instead.
Well, it was a toss-up between the two, to be fair. I don't mind him playing. I think it's a little bit daft, releasing him. I mean, we talked about that. It was a bit daft releasing him while we still had injuries, and it does seem to. It does seem to make a bit of a mockery of releasing him, if we're going to use him in the Continental Cup. And I can see where everybody's getting really angry about it, to be honest.
I think from what I've been able to pick up, because he played in Hacker, he's okay to play in this competition, but I think he's been deregistered from Elite League competition, which is why he wasn't playing over the weekend, and that is my understanding of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what Tim said about how strange it was that he was released. I mean, okay, he didn't exactly like the league up, but when the club have just announced that it came out, that Schultz is 5 to 6 weeks ahead of schedule with his in his recovery. We were potentially looking at having I mean, all right, yes, he was probably signed to cover Schultz's absence, and then we released him when Schultz, that's 5-6 weeks. That's the new year. Are we actually going that long, without having a forward? As important as that. But I mean, I have heard a rumour today that come warm up tomorrow, Johan Molin will suddenly appear. I mean, it's not far Sweden to Denmark.
It's not. It's a short top. Yeah. I wonder if
a short bloke carrying a pair of white skates, then don't be surprised.
I wonder if Paul Thompson will still get angry about it. That's
Paul Thompson's still angry about it. He certainly looks as though he's angry about it.
I just think we need bodies. We know that David Clark won't be taking part. He's injured. Jeff Wall won't be taking part. Great to have Chris Lawrence back. Schultz will be training, but won't be icing. But we're still short of bodies when we're compared to the other rosters. So for me, if Kalus is available and if he's registered, it makes absolute sense to have him in the
you
squad.
Can't argue that bit. It's the roundabout thing. Is hokey cokey almost. He's in, he's out.
I mean, I think the way it's been handled has left a lot to be desired. But from a purely playing point of view, good. I'm glad he's there because we need the body.
Yeah, wouldn't disagree with that in the slightest. I mean, we've had seasons where we've been carrying spares. We've had a season where we were given the checkbook hockey monocle because we had so many injuries and we were bringing in so many replacements, but we don't seem to be taking that particular tack this year. We've got some injuries and we sort of brought in an injury cover and then letting go before the injuries were back, and it's all a bit weird.
Earlier today, of course, there was a lot of Twitter activity from the Panthers as the players were travelling to Odense, and this may only be my perception, and it's only a snapshot in time, but I just thought there was the players didn't look exactly thrilled, some of them. And I know that could just be the way it was taken, or they may be not very early this morning, but it just didn't look great to me. I mean, it's probably just me worrying and making something of something that's just not there, but I just didn't think it looked great. And of course it was picked up on by fans of other teams who were quite happy to once again take the mick out of the club.
Well, we give them so few opportunities. They've got to make the most when they do, don't they? I mean, travelling, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. I mean, one of the pictures was of McGrattan, who never looks happy. I thought Corey looked quite happy from that picture of the back of his head. I thought, I mean, that was a lovely stretch of road. A motorway, probably the M1. Yeah, but I mean, but at the moment we're a team that's short of confidence, and things haven't been going our way, and that I'd be more worried if they were going around grinning, laughing, and joking, and completely carefree, than actually sort of concentrating on actually putting in a decent performance.
I I don't know. I mean, I sort of took those photos with a pinch of salt personally. Sort of scrolling through my Twitter feed. Oh yeah, there's some pictures of the Panthers off in, travelling and what have you. Obviously the one at the back of Corey Nielsen's head is a bit of an odd. You just have to lean to the right a little bit. I mean, so somebody needs just a little, quick kind of, when you're taking a photo, can you do something with it kind of conversation. It's just, can you just shift to the side a bit when you're taking a photo of the journey, and when you're taking photos of the players, can you just ask at least one of them to smile or do a thumbs up or something? I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just me, because I mean, completely, almost irrelevant sort of conversation about that. I mean, me and my best mate, we make a habit of pulling stupid faces. We love a good photo bomb, that sort of thing. A laugh and a joke. And I think at the minute, I don't know if the photos that have been taken and posted on social media are speaking to the kind of atmosphere in the dressing room or not. I mean, I took the photos with a pinch of salt. But I think as well, I don't think we really see much in the way of frivolity from the Panthers' social media. So I think that's probably why I sort of breezed by the pictures and didn't really think anything of it. It didn't. I wasn't inclined to read anything more into it than, there's some photos and they're waiting to get on a plane, and there's some more photos and they've got off the plane. It's just, I didn't really think much to it. But I don't think the Panthers organisation are known much for frivolity. But I think in previous seasons we've had, a character, or we've had somebody who's been a bit of a joker in the dressing room or whatever. And it doesn't seem like there is any kind of lightheartedness about the team. And I suppose those photos would kind of back that up a little bit, because there is no, there is no little smiles, there's no thumbs up, there's no, nobody putting a big cheesy grin on. Maybe it's just the wrong subject. I don't know, but I think maybe a little bit of happiness would, maybe a little bit of, a relaxed attitude would give everybody less to talk about, for want of a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Okay. Going on to the actual games themselves and the tournament itself, is it something, do you think, we can get through? I mean, and thanks to you, Tina, because you pulled together a great little spreadsheet of all the teams and everything. I was having a good look through that, and I think, again, compared to Odense and Angers, I think we match up quite well on paper. The Ukrainians worry me because they look very deep, and I think they rightly go into the tournament as favourites. But to be honest, I honestly don't see any reason why we can't go into this tournament and qualify for the final. I mean, is that something that you guys think is possible, Paul?
It is possible. The only I can see not happening is basically the last month. We're not coming into it from a particularly good position. We're not. I can't remember the last time I saw a decent performance from the Panthers, even going back before early October. I thought, okay, we were winning games, but they weren't great performances. So I think if we can play without that on we've almost got to treat this as though, as it's a break. Let's not put any pressure on it. Let's just play for the sake of playing. Let's try and relieve the pressure on the on the players and the coaches, and give them a chance. Give them a chance to play and see what happens. We're going to beat 10-0 every game now.
Tina?
Yeah, I agree. I don't see any reason why we can't go in there and do something. I mean, obviously, discounting the Challenge Cup game, we've got a 5-game losing streak that says otherwise. It's stranger things have happened. What a bonkers season this has already been for us. So why not? I mean, I agree with you. I think we've got the potential to match up against Odense, but Donbass worry me a little bit as well. I mean, one of the things I sort of found out when I was doing my bit of research that turned into a bit of a monster was that they were actually a KHL team before war broke out in Ukraine. So
they were actually based in Donetsk. Yes. They're not based there now, but obviously because of the war,
and that's the reason. The reason. Yeah, well, that's the reason they can't return to the KHL, because they've had to play in a smaller arena. So I mean, essentially, they're a team with KHL aspirations, and they're pretty well stacked.
Yeah, previous winners of the Continental Cup as well in 2011.
Yes. So they have previous. I mean, one thing I would say about Odense is they're a very young side. It's sort of from what I understand about the league there, the Danish league, it's sort of like a springboard up to like the Swedish and Finnish leagues and what have you. So you've got a lot of young kids who are out to impress. I mean, the other thing I would say about all three of these teams, the countries that they come from, all seem to have a really solid junior scheme, junior setup. They've got under 16s, under 18s, and under 20s leagues. Obviously it's something which we don't have. Something that's been talked about and then quietly not talked about for a very long time. So they have people coming in. They have the youngsters coming in all the time, and they seem to be three solid teams. Take anything. To sort of take everything else out of it, they all just look really solid teams.
One thing, when I was looking through the Odense roster, and I'm led to believe that there's actually no import limits in Denmark at all. However, the Odense roster only has 5 imports: a Czech netminder, a Canadian, someone from America, and then a couple of Swedes, and then the rest of the roster are all Danish nationals, and that's impressive.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just to sort of note to the Angers French league, I may be slightly off here, but you have to have I think it's 30. No, it must include at least 11 players who have spent more than 3 or more years in the French hockey system before the age of 21. So they've actually got they've got the opposite of an import limit. You have to have a certain amount.
Yeah, they
of
do have
French
they
players.
do have an import limit. I believe it's 10 in the league in the league madness.
Well, I mean, still they have this lovely anti-import limit, which I'm a big fan of. I like that. I think that's brilliant. And again, that sort of speaks to their solid junior system. So, fair play to them. Absolutely. They're obviously doing all right out of it.
And of course, they also have former Steeler Maxime Lacroix playing for them, Angers.
They do, yeah.
So let's hope we stuff them, frankly.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, but he does seem to be their superstar. He's doing pretty well for them, to be perfectly honest. He's actually been. I
suddenly feel more confident now.
He's actually done very well. He was with them last season as well. His stats are pretty solid, so he's doing quite well. He's actually been named to the French national side as well. He's going to be playing in the Olympic qualifiers, I believe.
Okay. If you can't get to Denmark, which I assume most of the people listening can't, I believe there's a few going over, but there will be a webcast available from 247.tv. It'll be £8 for each game, and £1 from each webcast purchase will go to Headway, which is Panthers' charity of the year. For more details on how to purchase the webcast, if you go to www.247.tv/EIHL, and all the details on how you can purchase each webcast will be on there. Okay, we're going to move on from the Continental Cup and talk about something that has come up on the Panthers Forum over the past week, especially after the defeat against Sheffield last Saturday. And a thread appeared on the Cage Forum that started in the Sheffield thread and sort of migrated into its own thread about protesting against the club, the coach, the management, and various ideas were put on there about how fans can protest. You guys have read this, and I just want, first off, your initial thoughts. So, Paul.
Thanks, a load of balls.
Is
Tennis
that
balls.
pun intended?
Well, when have you ever known me do an unintended pun? Come on. I'm not saying any form of protest is not it shouldn't happen. I think there is an increasing movement that says it should, but I think it's the way it's done. I mean, they're talking about throwing tennis balls onto the ice. All that's going to do is upset the people who don't think there's anything particularly problem, and
which I would say is the vast majority.
Yes, very possibly, but McDonald's sell far more food than Gordon Ramsay does. Doesn't mean they're better chefs. Doesn't mean the people who go there know more about eating, about food. They probably know more about eating anyway. But I mean, there are better ways. I think of doing it. A lot of people have said a lot of things, me included, I suppose, about how the club is very money orientated. So hit them in the pocket. If you're in there throwing a tennis ball onto the ice, they've got your money,
and you're probably going to get thrown out.
To get in. Oh well, yeah, you're probably going to get thrown out, yeah, as well. But you've paid your money to get in. They're not going to really be that bothered, are they?
I mean, I've seen ideas around badges and scarves, which obviously won't antagonise other people in the crowd, may get some discussion going, which I think is fair enough. But some of the more extreme things I've seen just basically go like throwing tennis balls, like having protests and chanting in the foyer to block it off and cause disruption there. I think if you're going to cause disruption, all you're going to do is antagonise people. And if you want people to come round to your cause or to come round to your way of thinking, then
that's not the way to do it.
For want of better words, pissing them off is not the way to do it. So, if you are going to do something, then I think we've talked about the Supporters Trust, and I think that's the way to do it. The Supporters Trust has been very open in saying that they want a positive relationship with the club and move forward positively by getting people on board. They're not looking to get rid of management. They're not looking to get rid of coaches. They just want a better relationship between the club and its fans, and they want to work towards that. And okay, that may take a lot longer, but I still think that is the better way to go, is my own personal opinion. I mean, Tina, what do you think? Tina?
Sorry, my apologies. It was my problem with the mute button this time. I was sparing you all the horror of me blowing my nose. Anyway, TMI. But I delved onto the Cage for the first time in a long time. I don't go on there very often because I sort of come away from there because misery loves company, and I just come away from the Cage just wanting to just throw myself into a river or something. But I read the thread, and there are a few people on there who they're very passionate about how they feel the club is letting the fans down. Yeah, fair enough. Totally hear you. I think one guy did hit the nail on the head. He said something along the lines of, if you are going to, this isn't going to go anywhere because nobody can decide how this is going to go forward. Mm-hmm. There's lots of suggestions about what we could do. Some of them are ludicrous. Some of them are just...
You're just getting hit by tennis balls.
Yeah, but as well, I'm already facing the prospect of being pummeled by many teddy bears next time we do a teddy bear toss, because I'm right in the blooming firing line. But anyway,
well, it's all right. Jono will come and stand in front of you. That's how his daughter gets Christmas presents every year.
You've made me lose my thread now, darn you. But yeah, I mean, you can't. You cannot get people on your side just by effectively standing in the middle of a room, stamping your feet and shouting, "I'm not very happy." It's not going to work. And the whole tennis balls idea, the only people that you're going to annoy is the arena staff. Panthers organisation, you sort of get a few tennis balls wandering onto the ice at the end of the period. They're going to look at that and go, "Oh, there's some silly idiots." And you're going to find Shostak are going to kick you out, and you're going to find the arena staff are going to be annoyed, and then the next period will be delayed because they're busy having to pick these tennis balls off the ice before they can get the Zamboni out to cut the ice. So that idea is pretty ridiculous to start with. I'm really sorry if I'm upsetting anybody by saying that, but it's antagonistic, and it's not the way. Like you guys have both said, the majority of people, that they don't think anything is wrong. They turn up to the hockey, they have a good night, they go home, and that and that's fine. You can be perfectly happy, and it won't matter a dime to you what if other people are aware of internal politics, for want of a better way of putting it. But yeah, I agree with the guy who said none of you can decide a decent way forward, and you're all just the thread itself is already descended into bitching at each other. So it's
a non-starter.
It can't go anywhere because it just descends into personal attacks, and it's ludicrous. Just
it's almost become the very thing that triggered, in a way, the idea of the supporters' trust. Just people just sitting on the cage or whatever, just moaning something's got to be done, but what? And somebody's actually said, right, yeah, let's actually do something rather than just sitting and complaining. But no, it's like like we've all said, it's the suggestions that have been mooted are just not the way to go, I don't think.
So, okay, well, if you've got any thoughts on that, let us know at Cats Whiskers TV. Use the hashtag TCW Live, and we'll try and get as many of your tweets in before the end of the show. Moving on to the other news, and in the Elite League, the Challenge Cup quarter-final draw was made. Manchester Storm will play the Belfast Giants. Cardiff Devils will play the Dundee Stars. The Edinburgh Capitals will play the Sheffield Steelers, and Braehead Clan will play the Panthers. The dates have already been set for those games. The away leg in Braehead will be on Thursday, the 8th of December. The home leg will be on Wednesday, the 14th of December, which will be a 7:30 face-off at the NIC. A couple of days ago as well, the Challenge Cup semi-final draw was made, which came as quite a surprise to everyone, because I don't think anybody realised that it was being made. And from that, the Edinburgh Capitals or the Sheffield Steelers will play the Braehead Clan or the Nottingham Panthers. And, well, again, for the third year on the trot, believe it or not. The other semi-final, of course, will be the Cardiff Devils or Dundee Stars versus the Manchester Storm or Belfast Giants. The final will be taking place in Cardiff this year. So, thoughts on that first. So, thoughts on the quarter-final. It's Braehead again. And also the semi-finals. Because last year let's be honest, the semi-final draw was a bit of a farce, to say the least. But now they've done it with absolutely no coverage whatsoever, and it's like the other extreme almost.
It's a load of balls.
Perhaps
Again.
that's what we should have called the podcast.
Yeah, but I didn't realise I was going to say it then. Did we comment on it this time last year?
I'm sure we did. Well, we would have commentated.
Just edit that bit in again, because it's Groundhog Day again. It's this season is just exactly the same as last year. I mean, I worked it out, and my maths are probably wrong, and somebody will probably tell me where I've gone wrong. But for us, if us and Sheffield get through to the semi-final, that's something like a 1 in 512 chance of it being the same thing again, because it's 1 in 8 every time. But what it also is a 1 in 1 chance of ensuring a decent crowd at the final. Now I am cynical. There's no other way of putting it. And that, I mean, the way that the draw was engineered last year. I mean, was there even a draw this year?
Well,
or did we just go? Did we just go? Oh, that's what we want to happen. That's what will happen. We just don't know, do we? And to be honest, I doubt they care what we think.
Tina?
Well, after last year's debacle, they probably thought it was a good idea not to show it live, and with the possibility of a rogue pool ball making it into whatever it is. But doing the semi-final draw before a quarter-final's even been played.
Well, that's what they did last year, wasn't it?
Yep. Why? It makes no sense at all. It's just it just takes any fun out of it, because we're sat here now just going, oh, if we beat the Clan, then we're probably going to be playing the Steelers again, or it might go completely the other way. It might be, I don't know, it might be us against Edinburgh, Brayhead against Edinburgh. I mean, it's just. The Challenge Cup has got little magic as it is, so it just feels like they're just trying to rush it through for the sake of it. We bemoan the Panthers for not taking the Challenge Cup seriously because of the double-up games, and we were the only team this season that did the games. And now we're sat here bemoaning the league because they appear to not be really taking it very seriously. As I say, it just feels like it's being rushed through for the sake of being rushed through, just for the sake of getting it over and done with. It's like if you can't be off, don't do it.
What it does do, though, is give Sheffield plenty of chance to come up with more Machiavellian ways of trying to stop us from buying tickets should we end up playing them in the semi-final.
If that semi-final's in Sheffield and we're in,
I'm quite happy for that. That'll do me.
That really will be a 1 in 512 chance if that happens again.
Moving on to other news, and the Telford Tigers of the EPL are in quite a lot of trouble after revealing debts of £500,000 and will go into administration. However, Wayne Scholes, who was their previous owner, who is the creditor for most of the debt, has said he is not going to call that debt in. This follows further trouble in the EPL with the Manchester Phoenix and Bracknell Bees earlier in the season, or in the close season. So it's not looking good in the next level down at the moment, Paul.
It's not, and you've got to feel for all the the Telford fans out there, and the Bracknell fans, the Manchester, Blackpool, whatever you call them now, fans as well, and the fans of the other teams, because they're going to be losing in games as well. But you've got, I think, whilst all teams want success, you've also got to look at sustainability to a certain extent. But I don't know yet if any sort of plans or anything are being drawn up to try and save Telford. I don't know if anything's been announced, but I hope it does. I had one of the worst cups of coffee I think I've ever had at Telford Ice Rink once. That was a long time ago. Yeah.
What a memory!
That's when I went to McDonald's and paid lunch vouchers. That's how long ago it is.
Tina.
Well, it's just a shame. It's the fans that feel it.
It's always the fans who suffer. Yeah.
It is. I mean, the fact the players will, hopefully go on and find other teams to go and play in. The coaches will go and do something else, or it's just. But the fans are just left with this sort of empty hole. This what do I do now kind of feeling. Because we know it as fans. We put our heart and soul into supporting our team, and then for them to all of a sudden not be a team, it's almost unthinkable, and you don't want to have to think about it. And I think there's some teams that have just they have been royally messed around, and it's just awful. I would hate to think that we'd ever be in a situation like that. I just it's just, as I say, it's almost unthinkable, and it's something you never want to see happen. Much less see it happen. You just don't. It's just with the decline of the Isle of Wight, and you're looking at 3 EPL teams who are in trouble.
I think there's problems in Oxford as well.
Well, I mean, it just spells more bad news for British ice hockey in general. It just feels like it's imploding from the bottom up. It doesn't look good.
One little positive that I have seen in some of the communication about the situation in Telford is that there is a Telford Tigers team in the NIHL, and a lot of the fans of Telford have said, right, if the worst does happen, we will go there. That's where we'll go. We'll go to that level. We'll support that team. So I think that's one very small positive that could come out of it. And I hope it doesn't. I hope that the Tigers manage to survive. They've survived before. They were actually run by a fan trust before Wayne Scholes came along and took them over a few seasons ago. So hopefully something can be sorted out for them, as can all the other teams that find themselves in trouble at the moment. Some Elite League news, and the Coventry Blaze released forwards Bjorn Bombis and Taylor Carnevale, and they've signed cousins Barry Almeida and TJ Siner. Both of those actually look to be upgrades from, on paper, from when I've looked at elite prospects, but both scoring at almost a point a game at ECHL level last season. And Tina, that Blaze, they've been at the bottom. They're 7th in the league at the minute, and Danny Stewart taking steps to improve the team, especially with Ben Davies coming on board last week.
Yeah, well, why not? It's just it's a little bit whatever it is this week. You sort of think, good for them. They're not doing as well as they want to be, so they're making changes, and they're not the only team that's done that already. And then we sort of look at what we're doing, and you're sort of scratching your head a little bit. So I mean, you expect that sort of thing. If you're not doing as well as you should, and as well as you feel that you can do, then you change something. And the Blaze are being very quick to do that.
Okay. I mean, Paul, you said in the podcast on Sunday when we was looking back on the game last Friday that you thought Panthers were the team who was struggling to qualify, not the Blaze, and Blaze did look quite poor, but they're making changes to try and improve their situation.
Well, yeah, you keep dragging up what I've said before, don't you?
It's a long memory.
Oh dear, I'm doomed. But that as a fan is what you want to see, isn't it? Okay, people losing the job, it's never nice, but you want to see a team that reacts when there's a problem, that that says, right, what's happening out there isn't good enough. We need to make changes. What can we do? All right, those changes might not work, and in the case of Carnevale, that's what happened. He was brought in for somebody else, but taking a fair play to Danny Stewart, he's looked at it and thought something's not right here. One of my roles as coach is to try and improve things, sign the team, and he's looked to make improvements, and we'll see what happens. But I tell you, talking about signing players and things, and being short of a forward, I forget who we might be talking about there, but I think Bobby Shimon's still available.
Yeah, he was.
Come on! I was hoping one of you go hee hee.
I can't get that.
I'm not doing it again. We're live. I'm keeping going. I mean, he's been a point a game even even playing for Tilburg, he might have only played 12 games, but he got 12 points. He's been, point a game for the last, 6 or 7 years. I mean, okay, we're not in Scotland. He does seem to like to play for a Scottish team. I think there's only about Edinburgh he hasn't. But
well, it's a good point because he knows the league. He scored lots of points in this league for various teams. He's. I must admit, I am very surprised he has not been snapped up at all. But wow.
Well, to be honest, I'm surprised he ended up in DEL3 anyway. But
yeah.
Maybe he wanted to see the world and started in Tilburg.
Well,
anyways.
Yeah. It's as good a place as any to start, right? I think we better give it
as good a place as any to end as well.
Yes, and best of luck to the Nottingham Panthers this weekend. It's getting to the super final would be a huge achievement, regardless.
I can't believe. I know where you stop right there. I can't believe we're breezing over this. But best of luck to you, Jono, when you make your commentating debut this weekend.
Well, he couldn't even get the get the people he's working for website right earlier.
Yes, I'm making comments. Please go easy on me. I've not done it before. I've only done a bit of colour before. So if I get it, if you're watching the webcast and I get it wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not used to it.
Jono Bullard.
Yeah. Hopefully by Sunday I'll have it absolutely nailed. But yes, I will be incredibly nervous tomorrow night. I know I will. So please remember that. And I'll give another plug to the podcast, to the webcast. So again, £1 from every purchase does go to.
It's not going well. It don't go well.
£1 from every purchase will go to Hebway, which is Panthers Charity of the Year. www.247.tv/EIHL, where you can purchase each of the webcasts for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, so
if you promise not to turn the sound on, then they give you a discount.
But yes, if you are watching the webcast, please get in touch with me via Twitter at Jono Bullard, and I will give you a shout out on the broadcast. Right, definitely time to end it there. So best of luck to the Nottingham Panthers this weekend, and it's time to say thank you very much, I think, to Paul Balm.
Charming.
And thank you to Tina Taylor.
Ta-ta.
And thank you for basically doing most of my prep for me, which was much appreciated. And thank you.
Well, it's all right. You just set me up with a bar tab at bunkers. I'll be happy, bunny.
Thank you very much to you for listening. As always, we will be back on Monday, looking back on the Continental Cup weekend live at 8:45. Until then, thanks very much, and we'll speak to you then.